Have you ever opened your door to a stranger wearing a uniform and felt that split second of uncertainty? That moment when instinct whispers a warning your rational mind dismisses? In Clearwater, Florida, that fleeting doubt became 17-year-old Marisol Reyes' worst nightmare and triggered a father's most primal response. What would you do if the trusted system that delivers your packages also delivered a predator to your doorstep? How far would you go to protect your child? Welcome to True Crime Village, where we examine the darkest chapters of human behavior and the devastating consequences that follow. Before we continue, take a moment to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because understanding these stories might one day help you recognize danger before it crosses your threshold. Today, we journey to the sun-drenched streets of Bailey Estates, a quiet suburban neighborhood where palm trees sway in the humid Florida breeze and families leave their doors unlocked without a second thought. It's the kind of community where neighbors wave from driveways and children ride bikes until dusk. The Reyes family embodied the American dream. Raymond, a dedicated utility company employee working tirelessly to provide for his family. His wife Elena, a compassionate nurse at the local hospital. And their daughter Marisol, a bright 17-year-old with promising college prospects. But on a sweltering summer afternoon in 2019, their ordinary lives shattered when a delivery driver named Logan arrived with a package and horrific intentions that would forever alter the course of their lives. What happened inside that house challenges our understanding of justice, morality, and the lengths a parent will go to avenge their child. When Raymond Reyes walked in on the unthinkable, the line between protection and vengeance dissolved in an instant of blind rage. As we explore this harrowing case, we'll examine how a single moment of violence transformed not just one family, but an entire community. We'll confront uncomfortable questions about vigilante justice, the failure of systems designed to protect us, and whether certain actions, though legally wrong, might be morally justified. If this story resonates with you, drop a comment below telling us your thoughts on home security and how you stay safe when strangers come to your door. Your experiences might help others protect themselves. Now, let's step back to that fateful summer day, when the temperature wasn't the only thing rising in Clearwater, Florida, and a family's trust in humanity was about to be violently betrayed. Marisol Reyes was the kind of teenager who defied stereotypes. At 17, she balanced exceptional grades with a vibrant social life, her bedroom walls covered with honor roll certificates alongside concert ticket stubs. With warm brown eyes that crinkled when she laughed and a quick wit that made her popular among classmates, Marisol represented the perfect blend of her parents' best qualities. Raymond's determination and Elena's compassion. The Reyes family home wasn't extravagant. A modest 3-bedroom in Bailey Estates with faded blue paint and a front porch where potted plants thrived under Elena's careful attention. Inside, family photos lined the hallway. Marisol's quinceañera, Raymond's fishing trips, Elena's nursing school graduation. A home filled with evidence of love, hard work, and shared dreams. Their daily rhythm was like clockwork. Raymond left by 6:30 a.m., travel mug in hand and a kiss planted on his daughter's forehead. Elena worked rotating shifts at Memorial Hospital, sometimes leaving before dawn, other times returning long after sunset. Marisol attended Clearwater High School, where she excelled in AP classes and edited the school newspaper. Bailey Estates projected an air of immunity from the troubles that plagued other communities. Neighbors exchanged house keys without hesitation. Children played kickball in cul-de-sacs until streetlights flickered on. Package deliveries accumulated on porches without fear of theft. "We've never had any trouble here," longtime resident Margaret Donovan would later tell reporters. "That's why what happened to the Reyes girl shocked us so deeply. We thought we were safe." This perceived safety created comfort and complacency. That Thursday afternoon, Marisol found herself alone, a common occurrence she normally enjoyed. With her father at work until 5:30 and her mother scheduled for a 12-hour shift, she had the house to herself. The freedom to blast music through portable speakers as she tackled calculus homework. The luxury of sprawling across the living room couch rather than confined to her desk. She texted her friend Jasmine about weekend plans while a documentary played softly in the background. Outside, cicadas hummed their summer chorus, and the occasional car rolled past. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening. Would you recognize danger if it wore a uniform and carried a clipboard? How many times have you opened your door without checking identification? When was the last time you verified that a delivery was actually scheduled? We trust the people who deliver our mail, repair our utilities, and bring our packages. We welcome them onto our property and sometimes into our homes. We rarely question their credentials or intentions. As Marisol heard the doorbell ring at 4:15 p.m., she had no reason for concern. Her mother had mentioned ordering new patio furniture, a surprise for Raymond's upcoming birthday. The timing made sense. The uniform looked legitimate. The smile seemed genuine. But in the seconds it takes to open a door, everything can change. Have you taught your children what information is safe to share with strangers? Do they know what to do if someone attempts to enter your home uninvited? Does your family have a code word for dangerous situations? As Marisol moved toward the door, she couldn't have known that this ordinary moment would become the dividing line, separating her life into before and after. That the next 30 minutes would transform her family forever. The doorbell rang again. Marisol pulled it open, and the storm began. The man who stood on the Reyes doorstep introduced himself with practiced confidence. "Good afternoon. I'm Logan with Express Delivery. Package for the Reyes family." He held up a large box with one hand while offering a delivery tablet with the other. Logan Bennett, though Marisol only knew him by his first name displayed on his Navy uniform badge, appeared utterly average. 36 years old, 5'10", with closely cropped brown hair and unremarkable features. He wore the standard Express Delivery uniform, blue shirt with embroidered logo, khaki pants, and steel-toed boots. A company lanyard hung around his neck, ID badge clearly visible. Nothing about him triggered immediate alarm, but details that would later haunt Marisol existed beneath this ordinary facade. The way his eyes lingered too long on her face. How he stood slightly closer than necessary. The unnecessary flexing of his forearms as he shifted the package. A smile that never quite reached his eyes. "That must be my mom's order," Marisol said, stepping back. "You can bring it inside. It looks heavy." Logan's gaze swept past her, scanning the empty hallway. "Anyone else home?" he asked, his tone casual but his attention sharp. "Just me right now," Marisol answered, an innocent truth that acted as an unintentional invitation. As Logan stepped across the threshold, the dynamic shifted subtly. His posture straightened, his movements slowed. He placed the package down with deliberate care, taking more time than necessary. "Beautiful home," he commented, walking further inside than delivery protocol allowed. "You live here with your parents?" Marisol nodded, suddenly aware of how much space he occupied in the foyer. "They'll be home soon," she lied, a belated protective instinct activating. "That furniture's gonna look great on your patio," Logan continued, revealing he'd been watching the house, noting details no delivery person should know. "It matches those blue chairs you already have out back." A chill ran through Marisol. They didn't have blue chairs. They didn't have a patio set at all. That's why her mother had ordered one. Predators like Logan Bennett don't emerge from shadows or lurk in alleys. They wear uniforms. They carry clipboards. They drive vehicles with legitimate company logos. They blend seamlessly into everyday environments where we naturally lower our guard. "If you could just sign here," Logan said, moving closer, backing Marisol toward the living room as he extended the tablet. His free hand brushed against hers, an intentional touch disguised as accidental contact. When she stepped away, he followed. When she maintained distance, he found reasons to close it. "Do you need anything else from the truck?" he asked, though nothing about the delivery required a return trip. "I think there might be a second box." As Marisol hesitated, Logan's radio crackled. He ignored it. The dispatch voice called his number again. He switched it off entirely. "Won't you get in trouble for ignoring that?" Marisol asked. Logan's smile tightened. Some things are worth breaking rules for. Express Delivery had hired Logan 8 months earlier. His background check revealed minor traffic violations but nothing that flagged concern. His references checked out. His interview impressed the regional manager. What the company missed? Logan had moved across 3 states in 5 years. He selected neighborhoods with specific demographics. He volunteered for routes with high concentrations of single-parent households. He memorized delivery schedules that indicated when certain residents might be alone. He had perfected the art of becoming invisible through visibility, hiding predatory intent behind a uniform that represented trust. As Logan moved deeper into the Reyes home, his casual conversation became increasingly personal. Questions about Marisol's age, comments about her appearance, his body constantly maneuvering to block access to doors. "You know," he said, voice dropping to a near whisper, "I've been delivering to this neighborhood for months now. I've noticed you before." The delivery tablet remained unsigned. The open front door now seemed impossibly far away. The transition from discomfort to danger happened in seconds. As Marisol reached for her phone on the coffee table, Logan's hand shot out, gripping her wrist with shocking force. "Don't," he said, his voice transformed, no longer the pleasant delivery driver but something cold and calculated. "This will be easier if you cooperate." The room seemed to tilt. The afternoon light through the windows suddenly felt harsh and exposing rather than warm. Every detail burned into Marisol's consciousness. The ticking of the wall clock, the faint scent of aftershave, the pressure of fingers digging into her skin. "My parents will be home any minute," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Logan's smile returned, different now, predatory. "No, they won't. I've been watching. Your father won't be back until after 5. Your mother works until midnight on Thursdays." The revelation struck Marisol like physical violence. He had been monitoring their routines, planning, waiting. When Marisol tried to pull away, Logan yanked her forward with such force she stumbled against him. His free hand covered her mouth as she began to scream, muffling the sound to nothing more than a vibration against his palm. "Nobody can hear you," he whispered, eyes no longer maintaining any pretense of humanity. "Nobody will interrupt us." Marisol fought with the desperate strength of survival, kicking, clawing, twisting her body against his grip. Her elbow connected with his ribs. Her heel slammed down on his instep. Small victories that only fueled his rage. He forced her backward until she slammed against the wall, family photos rattling from the impact. One crashed to the floor, glass shattering. A beach vacation from happier times now fractured like the safety of her home. As Logan pressed against her, Marisol's mind split between absolute terror and analytical clarity. She memorized his face, noted the small scar above his eyebrow, registered the express delivery logo, cataloged details even as she fought. Right now, thousands of homes receive deliveries from people they've never met. Thousands of teenagers answer doors without questioning who stands on the other side. This isn't just Marisol's story, it's a warning that could save lives. If this video has opened your eyes to dangers hiding in plain sight, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs this information. The more people who understand these threats, the fewer victims predators like Logan can claim. As Logan's hand moved from Marisol's mouth to her throat, as her vision began to blur from lack of oxygen, as her struggles weakened, the front door opened, and Raymond Reyes stepped inside. Raymond Reyes wasn't supposed to be home. A water main break had flooded the utility company's main office, sending employees home 3 hours early. He had stopped to buy groceries, planning to surprise his family with his favorite dish, his mother's recipe for arroz con pollo that always brought comfort on difficult days. The plastic grocery bags fell from his hands. Eggs cracked against tile. Onions rolled across the floor. None of it registered. What Raymond saw obliterated every other thought. His daughter pinned against the wall, a stranger's hand at her throat, her face contorted in terror. The scene burned into his consciousness, a permanent scar on his memory that would replay in nightmares for years to come. "Dad!" Marisol's voice broke through Logan's grip, a desperate, thin sound that contained both relief and warning. Logan turned, his expression shifting from predatory focus to shocked calculation. He released Marisol, hands raising in a placating gesture. "This isn't what it looks like," he started, stepping backward. "There's been a misunderstanding." Raymond Reyes had never considered himself a violent man. 43 years of life without a single physical altercation. A man who taught his daughter that words solved problems, not fists. A man who changed spiders outside rather than killing them. A man who apologized when others bumped into him. That man vanished in an instant. What replaced him was something primal. A force of nature rather than a person. A biological imperative coded into parental DNA since the dawn of humanity. Protect your offspring at any cost. The distance between the door and Logan disappeared in a blur of motion. Raymond's body moved with speed and power he didn't know he possessed. His first strike caught Logan in the jaw, sending him stumbling backward into the living room. The second connected with his sternum, driving air from his lungs in an audible whoosh. Logan fought back, landing blows that Raymond wouldn't feel until hours later. A split lip, bruised ribs, a gash above his eye that would require 7 stitches. But Raymond registered nothing except the need to neutralize the threat to his child. Neuroscientists explain that during moments of extreme stress, the brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thought and impulse control, can be overwhelmed by the amygdala, which processes fear and triggers fight-or-flight responses. Blood diverts from digestive systems to muscles. Adrenaline floods the body. Time perception alters. This explains why parents can suddenly lift cars off trapped children or, in Raymond's case, unleash devastating violence against threats to their offspring. The living room transformed into a battlefield. Coffee table shattered beneath falling bodies. Lamps crashed to the floor. What witnesses would later describe as 2 minutes of chaos felt like both an eternity and an instant to Raymond. Each blow he delivered carried the weight of every protective instinct he'd ever felt, from Marisol's first steps to her first heartbreak. Behind each punch lay the fundamental betrayal of safety. A predator had entered their sanctuary, wearing the disguise of trustworthiness. Marisol screamed for him to stop, her voice barely penetrating the roaring in his ears. Neighbors, hearing the commotion, pounded on the front door. None of it registered. When Raymond finally became aware of his surroundings, he straddled Logan's motionless form. His knuckles were raw and bleeding. His breathing came in ragged gasps. The man beneath him lay unnaturally still, face unrecognizable beneath blood and swelling tissue. Only then did Raymond turn to Marisol, huddled against the wall, eyes wide with a new kind of horror. "Dad," she whispered, "I think you killed him." Police cruisers surrounded the Reyes home within 4 minutes of the first 911 call. Officers approached with weapons drawn, responding to reports of violent assault in progress. They found the front door ajar, the entryway littered with shattered glass and spilled groceries. Inside, they discovered a scene of devastation. Furniture overturned, blood spattered across beige walls, and Raymond Reyes kneeling beside Logan's motionless body, attempting CPR with trembling hands. "He attacked my daughter," Raymond repeated as officers secured his wrists with cold metal handcuffs. "He was choking her. I had to stop him." Paramedics rushed Logan to Tampa Bay Medical Center in critical condition. The preliminary assessment documented a fractured skull, broken jaw, for cracked ribs, internal bleeding, and swelling of the brain that required immediate surgery. Doctors placed him in a medically induced coma with uncertain prospects for recovery. His condition remains extremely serious, Dr. Elaine Chun told reporters during the first press conference. The next 72 hours are crucial. If he survives, he may face permanent neurological damage. At the Clearwater Police Department, Raymond sat in an interrogation room, his bloodied hands photographed as evidence, his statement recorded in clinical detail. Detective Carlos Mendez, lead investigator on the case, recognized the complexity immediately. "Mr. Reyes, I understand why you did what you did," Mendez said during the initial interview. But there's a line between protection and excessive force. The DA will need to determine which side of that line you landed on. The preliminary hearing came just 48 hours later. Raymond, dressed in an orange jumpsuit, faced the judge with visible bruising across his face. The charges read aloud echoed through the packed courtroom. Attempted murder in the second degree. Bail was set at $250,000, an amount beyond the Reyes family's financial reach. As officers led Raymond back to his cell, Elena caught his eye from the gallery, their shared glance communicating volumes about fear, uncertainty, and the impossible choice he'd faced. Outside the courthouse, media trucks lined the street. National news picked up the story, framing it with provocative headlines: "Delivery driver beaten within inch of life" versus "Father defends daughter from sexual predator." The Bailey Estates community fractured along unexpected lines. Some neighbors launched a GoFundMe campaign for Raymond's legal defense, raising $75,000 in the first 24 hours. Others expressed concern about vigilante justice and excessive retribution. Of course, that monster deserved punishment, neighbor Trevor Williams told Channel 7 News. But nearly beating someone to death? There are laws for a reason. Meanwhile, Express Delivery issued a formal statement distancing themselves from Logan Bennett, revealing he had passed all background checks despite having resigned from 3 previous delivery companies under unclear circumstances. Corporate security launched an internal review of hiring practices while simultaneously preparing for inevitable lawsuits. As Marisol underwent medical examination and initial trauma counseling, investigators discovered something that would dramatically alter the case trajectory. Logan Bennett's delivery van contained a duffel bag with duct tape, zip ties, a hunting knife, and photographs of other young women, including 3 who had been reported missing from neighboring counties. What began as an isolated attack suddenly expanded into something far more chilling. And Raymond Reyes, sitting alone in his cell, had no idea he might have stopped a serial predator. The state of Florida versus Raymond Reyes began on a sweltering Monday in August, 9 weeks after the incident. Media trucks clogged courthouse parking, satellite dishes reaching skyward like mechanical flowers. Cable news networks broadcast live from the courthouse steps. Social media exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Free Raymond Reyes competed with hashtag NoVigilanteJustice. Inside the wood-paneled courtroom, Assistant District Attorney Monica Patel outlined the prosecution's case. While Mr. Reyes had every right to protect his daughter, the level of violence he employed far exceeded reasonable force. When Logan Bennett became unconscious, the threat ended, but Mr. Reyes continued his assault. Defense attorney James Morales countered with a strategy focusing on temporary insanity. Any parent witnessing their child being attacked experiences a neurological override that suspends rational thought. Raymond Reyes wasn't making conscious choices. He was responding to the most fundamental human instinct, protecting his offspring. The courtroom fell silent on day 3 when Marisol took the stand. Now 18, she appeared diminished, her confident posture replaced by hunched shoulders, her voice barely audible as she recounted the attack. When asked to identify her assailant, she refused to look at the defense table where Logan Bennett sat, now recovered enough to stand trial himself, though permanently impaired by traumatic brain injury. "He knew our schedule," Marisol testified, hands trembling. "He knew when I'd be alone. He said he'd been watching our house. When I fought back, he said he liked it when I struggled." Her testimony lasted 3 hours. Throughout, Raymond kept his eyes fixed on the table before him, tears streaming unchecked down his face. Legal experts filled airtime debating the philosophical underpinnings of the case. Georgetown law professor Amelia Washington explained, "This trial forces us to confront the tension between written law and moral justice. We entrust the legal system to punish wrongdoers, but that system sometimes moves too slowly or fails entirely to protect victims." Raymond Reyes acted as both judge and executioner, roles our society reserves for courts. Criminal psychologist Dr. Terrence Miller countered, "The law cannot account for neurobiological imperatives. Parents are hardwired to protect their children at any cost. Expecting rational behavior in such circumstances contradicts everything we know about trauma responses. The case took a dramatic turn when investigators connected Logan Bennett to 3 unsolved assaults in neighboring counties. DNA evidence recovered from his apartment linked him to attacks on young women aged 16 to 20, all occurring during delivery routes. His browsing history revealed searches for delivery routes near high schools and how to disable home security systems. On the final day of testimony, Raymond Reyes addressed the court. "I'm not sorry I protected my daughter. I'm only sorry she had to see violence in her own home, a place that should represent absolute safety. If given the chance to relive that moment, knowing what I know now, I would still stop him. But I would try to control my rage." The jury deliberated for 27 hours before returning their verdict: guilty of aggravated assault with significant mitigating circumstances. Judge Henrietta Wilson's sentencing proved equally complex. 5 years probation, mandatory anger management, community service speaking to fathers about controlling protective impulses, and restitution for Logan Bennett's medical expenses. "This court acknowledges the extraordinary circumstances," Judge Wilson stated, "but we cannot condone citizens dispensing their own version of justice, regardless of provocation. The Reyes case challenges us to question where protection ends and vengeance begins." Would you have acted differently in Raymond's position? Could you have shown restraint? Do you believe the sentence was fair? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might help someone wrestling with similar questions about justice and retribution. 3 years after the attack, Marisol Reyes stood before an auditorium filled with high school students, her voice steady and determined. Predators hide behind uniforms and friendly smiles. They count on our politeness and social programming to override our instincts. Following months of intensive therapy, Marisol transformed her trauma into purpose. She founded Safe Delivery, a nonprofit organization advocating for stricter background checks and real-time tracking systems for home service workers. Her college major shifted from journalism to criminal psychology, fueling her mission to understand and prevent predatory behavior. "I refuse to be defined as a victim," she told the rapt audience. "I choose to be defined by what I built from the broken pieces." Raymond's journey proved equally transformative, though marked by deeper complexities. The court-mandated anger management sessions initially felt like punishment, but gradually revealed insights about his response that day. "I carried crushing guilt," Raymond explained during a father-son retreat he now leads quarterly. "Not for protecting Marisol, but for exposing her to such violence. For losing control so completely that she feared me in that moment almost as much as she feared her attacker." His probation officer, Darnell Washington, observed the shift. Raymond came to understand that protecting his family meant more than physical defense. It meant modeling emotional regulation even in crisis. The Bailey Estates community underwent its own metamorphosis. The neighborhood association implemented a verification system requiring delivery personnel to check in at a central kiosk before accessing residential areas. Express Delivery revamped its hiring protocols nationwide, adding continuous background monitoring and prohibiting unscheduled stops. More importantly, conversations about safety transformed. Parents began discussing boundaries with service personnel. Schools integrated situational awareness into health curricula. The invisible bubble of suburban invulnerability had burst, replaced by informed vigilance. Detective Carlos Mendez, who initially charged Raymond, later became an unexpected ally. "This case changed how our department approaches both sides of such incidents," he explained. "We now provide immediate trauma support for families, while ensuring fair treatment for those who act to protect loved ones." The Reyes family story offers powerful lessons that extend beyond their personal tragedy. First, trust your instincts. That uncomfortable feeling when someone violates social norms might be your brain's threat detection system activating. Second, establish clear safety protocols with your family before crises occur. Finally, remember that healing isn't linear. It's a daily choice to reclaim power from trauma. Logan Bennett, partially recovered but permanently disabled, serves multiple life sentences for his crimes against Marisol and 3 other victims. The system that failed to catch him earlier has been reformed through Marisol's unrelenting advocacy. If this story impacted you, please subscribe to True Crime Village for more cases that challenge our understanding of justice and human nature. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Next week, we explore The Substitute Teacher, the chilling account of a small-town educator who maintained two identities across state lines for 15 years, until a former student recognized him at a gas station, setting off a chain reaction that exposed decades of deception. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. We'll see you next time.